So this is going to be a quick look at how to create an image scatter plot. So here's an example of a completed one. You can see different versions of this in OneNote, and you're going to be creating your own today. To do this, you can use kind of any app of your choosing that allows you to easily collect photos, resize them, and arrange them in the space quite quickly. I recommend Pages, but if you have another app that works for you that you're comfortable with, go ahead and use that. So for an image scatter plot, it's just a graph or a visual representation that's often used in market research. It's a type of comparative analysis where oftentimes we would kind of research similar products, look at what the trends are in the market and see what's out there. So for this, we're looking to see how other brands with related themes to our chosen identity theme, how they represent themselves with a logo. But because this is a sprint, we're also going to kind of combine this with another design strategy, which is a mood board. This is another way for designers to kind of collect sources of inspiration and things that they can refer to when they're creating their own design. So when I'm searching for different logos, I don't want to just pick any random logo. For this particular activity, I'm going to pick ones that I tend to gravitate towards because I like them in some way. That way I can use them to compare, but I can also use them as inspiration in a mood board. When you're creating a scatter plot, there is no one way to organize the images. It is completely up to you and whatever makes sense based on the types of logos or images that you've collected. So just as an example, you might choose to organize things in bunches or groups, so you can kind of group them based on some kind of similarity. Here's an example where maybe on one side of the page, so on the left-hand side of each grouping, I might have simpler logos, moving to more complex or radical. And then I might also have groupings, like the type of logo. You could think of it like a classic graph. So on the bottom or x-axis, I could have typographic logos all the way over to graphic logos on the right. And on the y-axis, I might have like simple kind of iconography style to really complex styles. And then whatever I collect as images, so let's just say I found a logo and I put it on my page, it would fit somewhere within this scale. So this is a really simple kind of icon style, but it's a graphic logo. You can create kind of any arrangement you want. So for the purpose of this, I'm going to choose this format, where on the bottom I have a scale of really simple logos, on the right they're more complex, and then I'm just going to group them based on type of logo. To do that, when you're first starting out, you need to kind of think, what direction do I want to head in? What is my identity? What kind of things do I want to be searching for? So for me, I really feel that my hobbies are a big part of my identity. I really like anything to do with water sports. I love being on the water, whether it's paddleboarding or swimming or kayaking. I like the outdoors, hiking, camping, nature, all those kinds of things. So these are kind of things that I think make up part of my identity. I'm also really into video games or board games, movies, photography. So all of these are kind of things that I might want to consider as I make and develop my own logo. For now, I'm going to pick kind of one direction. I'm going to go with kind of the water sports, paddleboarding kind of area. I'm just going to ignore the video games and board games for now. So I need to develop some search terms. Because I'm interested in paddleboarding, it's also known as SUP, I want to kind of think of what can I search to find actual logos or existing companies. So I might search like a paddleboard company, and then that'll lead me to various websites. I might search for paddleboard logos or SUP company, but I might also start to have to think outside of that box and try some different search terms like rentals or clubs. I might have to go to water sports or kayaking or canoeing or things that are similar to that. I can also look for icons. Iconography is one part of logo design, so I can use those as examples as well. I also really value water. I think it's an important part of my identity. I like being near a body of water, whether that's a lake or a river or the ocean. So I'm also going to search some kind of water-related terms. and see what I get. But I do want to focus on logos and iconography wherever possible, not just like pictures of water or pictures of a paddleboard. I want to try and keep it focused on logos. So I'm going to head over to the search engine of your choosing. You can use Bing, Yahoo, Google, whatever you want. You can start with just an image search if you want with some of your search terms. Or you can go to the actual websites, which I would recommend. And so I've got a few kind of up at the top here, different paddleboard companies that I've searched. And I would just take a screenshot, save the image, copy the image, whatever's easiest for you of those different logos, and start collecting them. When you first start doing this, I recommend that you don't worry about organizing them. Just dump all of them on the page. They're going to be different sizes. They're going to be all over the place. Don't worry about sorting them. Just get them on the page. So fast forward, you would spend probably about 15 minutes searching and collecting. Once you've got them all collected, so you might see something like this, then you're going to want to spend some time. This is the curation phase. You want to resize things so that you can see everything. And as you start to do that, you might start to see some patterns emerge. You might start to group things. I can see some that are icon-based. I can see ones that are combination style. I can see ones that are typographic or font-based in nature. And I can start kind of moving things around from there to kind of make my groupings. Fast forward, you might end up with something like this. So now I can see them all. They've been resized. They don't need to all be the exact same size, but they're resized so I can at least see all of the different logos. This one up on the top, remember I have my typographic logos, so font or text-based. I put the combination in the middle, and I ended up having to make that section bigger because I collected more of those. I tended to gravitate towards the combination style more. And on the bottom, I have the graphic logos. But then if I move from the left-hand side of the page to the right-hand side, I've also sorted it from like the simplest to more complex in style or nature. And you can kind of move those around however you see fit. This is up to you, how you choose to group or make those connections. This is one style. Maybe you chose to group them a little bit different. So maybe you chose just bubbles or groupings. So typographic, graphic, or combination. And then even within these, I grouped, for example, these ones are all kind of like a banner style. And for the most part, black and white or grayscale. There was a few that were emblem style logos. They kind of had circular in nature. So I just kind of made some groupings of similarity with it. So there's no wrong way to organize it. It's just whatever makes sense to you, what patterns that you see within the things that you've connected. Then we can use this to start to move forward and come up with some ideas of our own. For me, I kind of like the idea of a combination style logo because I found a lot of those that I liked. There seem to be a lot of them, so I think this is where I want to be. But I also don't want to be on the really simple end because I'm not sure it will communicate enough about my identity. So I kind of want to design something that falls maybe in this range here. So that gives me kind of a starting point as I move forward with my own designs.